Well, I'm so excited about this one. The idea is, it's about happiness and it's about not taking life for granted. So we take a really nice guy, who lots of us, who like lots of us takes life a bit for granted, I suppose, and put him through this journey. So I make him believe that the world has ended, and he wakes up in a post-apocalyptic world to find a few other survivors and a load of infected zombies, with a view to making him value what he has. And of course, you guys played a big role in this show. You did. I can't say quite what it is, but you
we have a small part in it. So,
so you were fantastic. I'm very grateful for that.
Somebody once said, how long did it take to organise?
It's about 8 months' work. We started this in January. That's the best bit of the job for me, is going through all this trouble, months and months and months of work, let alone hundreds of thousands of pounds being spent and huge numbers of staff and effort just going in for one person's experience to make something completely real for that person, and not only real, like to sort of fool him, but also to create a genuine transformation, which is important as well. So yeah, it's just fantastic. It's about since January.
What happens at the end if you go all through it and they says you can't put that on telly?
There's a lot of legal discussions that happen every step of the way to make sure that doesn't happen, but yeah, that would be awful.
And how do you select the person? Could you select anyone at random, or do you have to try and find the right person?
No, there's a few things. So I normally tweet. It starts off like that. So if you want to be part of a show and take part, people very kindly do, not knowing what it is or what the show is, and then we get a bunch of people together. Normally, tens of thousands of people apply, and we pick out the ones we think, because we know what we're after, we know the type of person that we're after. So we get all these people together, and then they get various questionnaires and things they have to fill out, and they do little interviews and little tests and things, but we never let on what it is. And with the show like this, where there's obviously potential for it being quite a strong experience is going through, we also have an independent psychiatrist who sort of vets the people and goes, yes, this person is robust enough, this person you shouldn't do it with. And then all the way through also we've got a medical team, a psychiatric team watching his experience from the truck where we are, just making sure that every step of the way it's fine. So all that's very carefully done. So no, it's never a random thing. You have to be very careful. It's a very delicate thing to get right.
So he's actually left with an amazing experience. Really,
yeah.
Because we'd all quite like the idea of witnessing the end of the world, wouldn't we? I mean, we don't want it to happen. But
exactly.
The idea of witnessing it and then it being fake would be an amazing experience. It's the best ride ever, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's like a horror film, isn't it? I think the reason why we enjoy those films is that I enjoy is that you can have the experience of fear, but also know that it's safe. And actually, one of the issues with this show and with Stephen, our guy who goes through it, is just to make sure that there was always just enough hope for him, enough feeling of hope on the horizon, so that it never became too deeply upsetting.
And how do these things work? Are they working on hypnotism, or what are you doing with people?
No, I need to be able to put him to sleep. That's the only thing. So one of the tests we do when we get all our people together is to see who responds to suggestion, because a suggestible person means that I need to get him to sleep. So I need to get him in and out of this experience at the beginning and the end, if that makes sense. So that's the only thing. That's the only use of hypnosis. Other than that, it's just this real experience, this thing that is created to be completely compelling, and every scene of it, every second is crafted meticulously to take him on this journey.
Can everyone be hypnotised?
In theory, it depends what you want to get out of it. I think there's a trait of suggestibility, and I think if you have it, then you can be genuinely very responsive to it, and it can be an amazingly effective tool therapeutically or entertainment purposes or whatever. But I think only some people really have that. A lot of people don't. But there's still, depends how you define hypnosis. In terms of just persuading people, getting
how does it work?
That's a really long do you know, one thing we did last year, I did a program called The Assassin, which was part of the experiment series that I did. And we got a guy in an ice bath, and he was able to sit, he could only put his hand in it for a few seconds without hypnosis, but with hypnosis he could lay in this thing, ice up here, completely comfortable. And it through my understanding of hypnosis, which is that you can't do anything under hypnosis that you can't do normally, given the right sort of, the right environment or the right kind of motivational factors. But this was extraordinary, seeing somebody do that. But then again, pain is a very subjective thing. You can cut your finger and it doesn't hurt until you see, you probably done it yourself, it doesn't hurt until you see the blood.
Do you think life's all about perception? I'm going along like that, but I could quite easily be going along this way with everything else. I think I've got a good job, I could be going on thinking I've got a bad job. Is it just about changing my perception of life?
It's what you make of it, isn't it? The Stoics, the Stoic philosophers, which formed the basis of this show as well, Apocalypse, they say that which is a thought that still carries on today, that life is what you make of it, that a problem's only a problem if you turn it into a problem, and that it's your own judgment that's important. And they also, another important thing they said was that that in order to master desire, in order to feel satisfied, you have to learn to want the things, really want the things you already have, not the things you don't want. Which again ties in with this show because it's about making you want the life you have.
Because I was wondering with the hypnosis thing, because I sort of think I'm a relatively cynical person, I was like, oh, that'd be difficult to hypnotise. But that's not necessarily the way it works at all, is it? It's nothing to do with that.
I think most people think they probably wouldn't be hypnotisable. I mean, we don't normally go around thinking, yeah, I'm sure anybody could do it. Yeah. So, so yeah, that's a common thing. I think if you're open to it, that helps. If you sit there, I'm a terrible subject because I just sit there trying to work out.
How they do.
Because of techniques. I'm probably not quite open enough. I don't know what it is.
And is it easy to learn to hypnotise people?
Yeah, it's a kind of a knack that you get. I just borrowed and stole every book that I could at university when I got into it. And then I had a guy, people used to come and see me and then I'd hypnotise them and I'd say, when you come back, if I tell you to go to sleep, you'll go, I shouldn't do that. Can't, anything can happen. It's not a toy.
So you've got an onion. Oh, the seat's hot. The seat's hot.
And then a guy came back and I hadn't told him that. I hadn't seen him before. I hadn't given him that instruction. But nonetheless, he came in. So I thought I'd hypnotised him before and told him that. I said, okay, sit down and sleep. And he went straight out. And it was only later I realised I'd never met him before and I'd never told him that he could sleep when I clicked my fingers. And it was only somehow my confidence and his belief that it was going to work because I was so confident that made it work. And that's when I realised it was kind of about that sort of thing. It's not really about technique. It's about your confidence and their belief at that moment and manipulating that.
I decided I wanted to become a hypnotist many moons ago, and I read a book on it. And yeah,
did you?
I just started to read one, and in it said that great leaders often hypnotise their crowd with a monotone sort of speech, and they quoted people like Hitler and Thatcher and stuff. They went at one tone to mass audiences, and they were putting them under some hypnotic. Is that true, or is that just?
Oh, you see it. It depends how you define it. You can, the way a priest, for example, sort of relates to his congregation. There'll be things that can help you achieve a kind of a heightened state, whether you call it a trance state or prayer or whatever. And equally in the sort of happy clappy places as well. That's more about whipping people up. And in politicians, any great charismatic people that are holding an audience will know how to kind of work those rhythms. Yeah.
Touch the surface.
Yeah, we'll talk about this more. Derren is going to be sticking around until the end of the show and doing a bit of cooking, so get your questions sent in for him. Coming up, a glimpse of the very next episode of Homeland and a cocktail worth £5,500. Yes, £5,500. See you in a bit.